Hello. How are you guys doing tonight? Put my little thing underneath there. My hands are sticky. Are you guys having a wonderful Monday? Having a good beginning of your week? It is late Sunday evening. I think it's just like a little bit after. It's 12:30. It's 12:29. And I've had a really good day today. I filmed all of my videos yesterday for today so that Alex and I could just hang out. And then a bunch of drama came out. So I made a drama video today, but Alex was in it with me. He came into the tail end of it, so. But he was kind of actually interested in it today. He was like listening to me as I was like watching videos and stuff, and he was asking me about it, and I was like explaining it to him and telling him about the tweets and stuff. If you guys don't know what it's about Gabriel Zamora, this Instagram makeup artist coming for Jeffree Star. So anyway, you can go watch the video, but Alex's perspective was interesting. And I didn't really capture his full like point of view on camera, because like he didn't say it all like how he had said it to me before, and then afterwards we had another conversation. He made some really good points, but so I got up today, and then I took a shower and did my hair and stuff, and then we went to brunch at Cafe Patachou, and I had an omelet and a bagel and potatoes, and I'm doing like really good on my diet. I'm kind of afraid. I've lost, as of this morning, I lost 8 pounds. But I'm using Sundays as kind of my cheat day. I know, I just started this, but it's my cheat day. Because I want to have like the same cheat day every week. So which we're getting ready to go to Vegas. I don't want to become one of those channels that just like the whole like losing weight and lifestyle thing is just like a joke. Like I don't, like I mean, it is really serious to me, and I know what I need to do, and you know, I mean, like so many people comment on my videos and say stuff, and I appreciate the feedback. People are usually really, really nice about it. I mean, I know I need to get more active. I know I need to lose, you know, or start eating healthier. I know it's not about a diet. It's about lifestyle changes. I mean, I understand all of that. And it was interesting. It was kind of funny because tonight I was taking the dogs out and I was kind of like running in space, or like, you know, just like in place. And I was like, I kind of miss running, and I've been thinking about getting back into it. I don't know. I just always think I'm going to do this and do that, and it's such a struggle for me. But anyway, and then tonight, so I have that for brunch, and then tonight, I said to Alex, I said, I'm craving ice cream, and he goes, I'm craving ice cream too. So I had to go to Meijer anyway. So I went to Meijer, and then I ended up getting ice cream for him and for me. So I ate that, and that's it. And now tomorrow I'm back on track again. We had a good day, and then we came home, and then I filmed the video with him like real quick, or I was like researching it a little bit, but then we filmed it together really quick. And then we kind of just hung out and talked and like watched TV and stuff. We watched that Just Cavallari. I thought it was stupid at first, but now I'm kind of into it a little bit. I mean, all reality shows are kind of stupid, but I mean, we know that, right? That all reality shows are kind of dumb. Like, but I would totally be in a reality show. If somebody offered me a reality show tomorrow, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would love it. Oh, no. Somebody's out there singing on the street, so I don't want that to demonetize my video, or copyright my video if it's like a cover song. But anyway, sometimes it's not even about that. Sometimes it's like if you have music in your video, they won't even let you post your video. I did this video one time, this vlog, and I had already put it together, and I had uploaded it, and I just thought there would be no problem with it, so I like deleted the footage, and there was like 9 seconds of a Whitney Houston song in it, and so because of that, it was like the song was copywritten. Now, like some music, they'll let you use it, but like, you just don't get to make any money off of it, which who cares, right? Like, I mean, unless you're gonna have a video that's, unless you're getting a video that's got 1 million views or something, but like, okay, over here, let's just be for real. So it's not like it really matters, but like, there was a video I did on my main channel a while ago, God, it was a long time ago, and it was called Message to My Haters or something like that, and I like lip synced to I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston, and like, it got copywritten, which just means that you can use the music, but the person that like sang the song, or whoever the musician is, or whatever, the artist, like, they either get like a proceed of part of that, or they just get all of the proceeds. I don't know how it works, but something like that. So anyway, and then the other thing is that sometimes, because of the music, it won't play in other countries. So that's why I just don't ever put music in my videos. It's just, there's so much, you know, I don't have to, I'm not one of those vloggers that has like these beautiful, you know, like the Casey Neistat, like I was talking about last night. Like, that's not my gig, so I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, we didn't do anything. I thought I would take a nap today. I like laid down to take a nap, and the dogs were just not having it. PP's coughing today was horrible. We were both very, very worried about him. We gave him another half of Lasix, which we never do. And tonight I just was like, Alex, we have to give him another half of Lasix. And the vet said we could do it every once in a while, but she didn't want it to become a habit, because once it became a habit, then we were gonna have to do it regularly for him. And the other thing is that the Lasix is the one that makes him like urinate a lot. So I don't want him to have to like pee all the time. And he hasn't like peed on the bed in forever since he started taking it, because I think like his body's kind of used to it now, you know? But we take him out literally like every 45 minutes. And so like, and before I leave, when I'm gone during the day, if I'm gonna be gone for a couple hours, I take him out like twice right before I leave. But today his cough was horrible, and it was like we couldn't take him outside. I don't know if the humidity was really bad today or whatever, but it was like every time we took him outside, I mean, he could be outside for like 30 seconds and he started like coughing, and I just felt so bad for him. And you know, of course, we bring him inside and we just like set him down when we're both sitting there looking at him and petting him and telling, you know, it's gonna be okay, buddy, it's gonna be okay, and all that kind of stuff. And then he comes out of it and he's completely fine. Like, as soon as he stops coughing, he acts like he's a puppy again, you know? I think it's in that moment he gets very, very scared. And I know whenever I talk about PP's cough on here, a lot of people have all these theories. So just so to clear the theory up, because I appreciate people speculating and having support. PB has heart disease. We've gone to the doctor, we've had the x-rays done, all of that. So we know that PB has heart disease. He has an enlarged heart. And it's like stopping the trachea, and so that's what causes him to cough. And what the vet told me at that time, I hate even talking about this, I said to her, you know, like, well, what are we looking at? And I honestly thought she was going to say like 3 months. And this was, we can't even remember when I went to the vet. We think it was like a year ago, or like Thanksgiving time, but I think it was like a year ago. And she said, honestly, she said, I'd like to see him make it to 13 and a half. And at the time, PP was 11 and a half. And now he is, like, he turned 12 in April. So he's like 12 and 4 months. And April, May, June, July. Yeah, he's like, because he's like the end of April is his birthday. So, like tonight, Alex was like, do you think he's going to make it to 13 and a half? And I said, well, the other thing that the vet said was that if we could get the cough underhand, like if we could get the cough figured out, then we, you know, like he could live to be a lot older than that, like if we got the cough taken care of. And I've been using, we were sent those the gel cooler things for their necks, and when it's really hot, I use those, and that seems to help. It's just so weird. It's like, it's so random. Like, you know, he won't cough for like 2 weeks, or like it'll be like 1 cough a day for 2 weeks, and then it'll be like a day like today where he just coughs like crazy. You know, when he's at Tanya's like, he never coughs here. So I don't know, like, I think that maybe, you know, like my eyes have been itching, Alex has been sneezing all day long. I don't know if the pollen count is high, and then maybe that's what's doing it to him. I have no idea. I mean, I don't really know, like, even what to guess at, because I have no idea, you know? But anyway, that was today, and we gave him an extra half of Lasix about 9 o'clock, and he's been fine since then. We were gonna watch a movie this weekend. We never ended up doing that. We went over to my in-laws, and they were watching what was the movie that, I don't even remember what Carlitos wanted him to download for him now. Pokemon. It wasn't Pokemon. It was something like that, though. But, and then Alex and I were gonna watch that new Melissa McCarthy movie. What's it called? Life of the Party. I want to see that so bad. But we didn't watch that. And what else? There was something else I wanted to see. I really want to go to the movie theater. I want to see Slender Man, and I want to see, I don't know. We went to the mall afterwards to get a few things, and we went to Keel's to see two people. There's two people in there that are always really helpful to me when I go in there, and I love them. Their names are Rachel and Lake, and I talk about them in my main channel videos because they're so sweet. But anyway, we went in there and I introduced them to Alex because they had met Melissa, but they hadn't met Alex. And I bought some stuff from Keel's. Alex and I got this hydrating face mask that Rachel said she swears by in there. We're gonna take that to Vegas. Their stuff is super expensive at Keel's, like super, super expensive. And then we went down to Lush, and I bought some goodies for somebody in a giveaway. I bought some goodies for somebody in a giveaway on my at Keel's too, and got those. Gosh, sat down, got all the stuff together, packaged it up, ready to go. So I'm mailing those out tomorrow, and I've been in contact with those people explaining that I've been out of town and it took me a little extra time, so they were totally cool with that. And I'm mailing those out tomorrow. I was like, I hope they like it. Alex was like, you put together really nice packages for them. You gave them better things than you gave me for my birthday. I was like, that is not true at all. He was like, I know, but he was like, you gave them really nice stuff. So I was like, well, I had fun. I love doing it. I love doing the giveaways. The giveaways are so much fun. They really, really are. And if you watch this channel and you don't watch my drama channel, I'm actually doing a drama channel giveaway right now, and it's the Norvina palette by Anastasia of Beverly Hills. If you don't want to watch my drama channels, just go, and you watch this video regularly, just go over there, and all you have to do is comment on the video what you think I should name my palette if I ever came out with a palette, which, I mean, that's not gonna happen. And then follow me on Instagram and follow and subscribe to that channel. That's all you have to do. But anyway, and then I'm gonna pick somebody at random. I love to do the giveaways. I think the giveaways are really, really fun. You know, it's interesting because I've seen a lot of people bitch and moan and complain about stuff, and I think it's just about being really, really transparent with people. You know, like, when I was leaving to go out of town, I knew that I was going to be sending it out late, and so I contacted people, and I was like, is this okay? And they were like, yeah, that's totally fine. They were really nice about it. They were so cool. You two know who you are. And it's been a couple days later than that, and they haven't said anything. When these, I'm like just baffled sometimes when, I don't know, people get upset about giveaways. I'm like, if somebody reached out to me and said, hey, you said that I won the giveaway, but I haven't heard from you, I'd be like, hey, I am so sorry. I would be like such an ass. I'd feel like such an ass, you know? I'd be like, okay, let me double it up and send you something twice as much, you know? The packages are made. Don't say that now. But anyway, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, I feel like some people that do giveaways are kind of asses about it. I'm like, I enjoy it. I love doing it, you know? It's like, I have so much fun doing YouTube, and I feel like it's such a blessing that anybody wants to watch me. And for me, the giveaway is not just about, like, giving something to somebody. It's like interacting with people more, you know? Like, I don't know. It's just, it's fun. I like it. And why not take a little bit of what I've been given and give it back to somebody? I mean, I don't think there's anything, like, why would you not do that? I don't understand that, you know? So, but I just like doing them. I think they're fun. I finished a book last night. I could not believe it. This book that I've literally been reading for like 6 months, and it's like 149 pages. It's It's called like The Sunken Treasure or something. It was this Mickey Spillane kids book that I got when I was a kid. And so somebody sent it, I think somebody sent it to me, or I ordered it off Thrift Books, I can't remember. Treasure at the Bottom of the Sea. Oh, The Day the Sea Rolled Back is what it's called. And I'm trying to get all the books off my Goodreads list that I'm currently reading. I'm trying to get them off. Like, I'm trying to finish them and just be like, you know, just read one book at a time and listen to one audiobook at a time. And so I sat down last night and I was like, I'm finishing this book. And I finished it last night. Cranked out an hour of Harry Potter tonight. I am loving the Harry Potter audiobooks, you guys. If you're looking for something to go to bed with your kids or your grandkids at night, buy or download or get from the library the Harry Potter books. If you've already read them or if you haven't read them, and listen to a half an hour of the audio every night with them. Or even if it's just like your husband and wife, your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. You guys, they are so good. Like, they are so good. And they are like, you know, I kind of forgot reading it, like how homey it is. I was listening last night. The part that I started listening to it was when they get sorted at Hogwarts, and then they go upstairs, and Harry's talking about the beds, and they have this like great feast, and he's like, you know, he has this dream, but like before that, he's like, we just fell asleep in these 4-posted beds, and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, I don't know, it's just like so homey. Like, the stories are very homey too, you know what I mean? And I'm loving them. And it really reminds me, listening to it more than anything else, of like my mom and I when I was growing up. Because my mom and I, she would read books to me at night, or like we would read books together as I got older. Like, I'd read a page, she'd read a page. And I know a lot of people did that with Harry Potter. My mom and I did it with books like Bridge to Terabithia, oh God, you know, Kid Power, all the Ramona books, you know, Ramona Beasley. All that, the Judy Blume books. When I was younger, it was like Nate the Great and Amelia Bedelia. And then even younger than that, it was like The Little Bear. And we would like read those books, you know, or like Go Dog Go, or, you know, the Cat in the Hat books. And I have to say, of all of the things that really impacted me growing up, you know, from like negative things, like growing up in the home of an alcoholic, to, you know, whatever, to positive things like my mom not allowing negativity in her house as I got older, and, you know, and I don't know, there's like so many things I could pick from that I grew up, you know, the morals and the values. Like, one of the greatest things I think that I had in my home growing up, both homes, is reading, you know, and this idea of the importance of books and stories. And, you know, my dad did too. Like, when I was growing up, my dad was always reading. And, like, my stepmother, she's the one that got me started on, like, the Jackie Collins bit and all that stuff. And she's, like, a voracious reader. And, she reads, like, everything that Tanya reads. But, like, when I was growing up with my mom, like, we went to the library, like, once a week, twice a week. I was involved in all the library programs in the summer. You know, I always enter reading contests at school or whatever, you know, at the library. And, my mom and I would, you know, libraries were rainy days in the summer. That's what you would do on rainy days, was go to the library, and they had free movies for kids and, you know, reading clubs. I didn't do the book clubs, but we would like do reading clubs where you could like go and you had to pick a book out of something and then read, you know what I mean? And then, you know, my mom would always pick out books too. And so as I got older, I wanted to read some of the books that my mom loved. And, my mother very much was, you know, she was a elementary ed, is that what it's called? I don't know, education major, but also an English major in college. And so when my dad was doing his residency, in Chicago at Northwestern, my mom worked at Northwestern Library. She was a librarian there. And so because she worked at Northwestern Library, she could take classes. And so she took classes like every semester, and she could take master's level classes. And so she would take master level, this is before she got her master's degree. She would take master's level classes in like, and don't come for me, this is what it's called, but they would, Oriental literature. And she would read like books like The Art of Tea, and like really famous books, you know. And then she would read like she read like, you know, Irish literature, and she loved like Catherine Ann Porter and like, you know, James Joyce. And my mother was so well read of like international literature, you know, not just Wuthering Heights and stuff like that, but everything. And, you know, she introduced me to, you know, Carson McCullers and, you know, like The Member of the Wedding and Eudora Welty. And I remember when I had to read in high school, what's the book that everybody hates in high school? It's so hard to understand because there's a brother that's developmentally disabled, and when you're reading it, you don't really know that. Shoot, what's his name? Faulkner. Faulkner's book. What is the book? But it was one of my mom's favorite books of life, you know, and I can remember reading it, and I'd say, I don't understand this. The Sound of the Fury. And I would say, Mom, I don't understand this. And she'd say, well, don't you understand? This book is so beautiful. She's like, you know, it's told from different points of view. It's the same happening told from different points of view. I don't understand it. And she would break things down for me, and she'd make them so simple, you know, and she understood things that were like, I don't know, like she could see the simplicity in things. And as I got older, you know, my mom, she loved to read literature, but she changed a lot. She read like a lot more like memoirs and things like that. And she read, you know, Anne Lamott, and, you know, other people. My mom read a lot of like faith-based stuff, but she would read stuff that was, I think, kind of like, not like, I would say, typical Christian books. She would read things like one, I've mentioned this on here, but one of her favorite books was Living Buddha, Living Christ, and talking about the similarities between, you know, these two religious, you know, whatever you want to call them. But anyway, about that the common ideas were love, compassion, kindness, tolerance, patience, forgiveness, things like that. And then isn't that really the whole idea behind a spiritual basis, or, you know, spiritual foundation? And she wasn't somebody that just read about it and bullshitted about it and acted fake and intellectual. She was somebody that lived it. And I think that's the crossover, you know? You can read To Kill a Mockingbird 100 times, and you can listen to what it says, and you can think that Atticus Finch is the greatest guy in the entire world, and you can name your dog Boo Radley. But if you don't practice the principles that are taught in the book of To Kill a Mockingbird, then what does the book really mean, you know? And I think that the reason the story resonates so much with me is because it's really a story about innocence. And I think that as we get older and we're corrupted, I think by seeing a lot of things that happen in the world, you know, a lot of injustices, and a lot of us participate in that, you know? Not for one second do I want to sit here and act like I've been a pure soul all my life. I've said some really nasty things to people before, you know? But that doesn't mean that I have to be that person today, and I can look at that and I can go, wow, who was that person, you know? Who was that person that behaved that way in the past? Why would you ever have behaved that way? Well, out of anger, resentment, your own self-loathing and misery, we treat people like that. But I don't have to be that person today. So when I read a book of fiction, like To Kill a Mockingbird, and I look at it, you know, and I think to myself, okay, it's about a return to innocence. It's really, to some degree, what To Kill a Mockingbird is about. Seeing things through Jean Louise's eyes, Scout's eyes, you know, and then Atticus is saying to her, you know, well, you don't really know somebody until you walk around in their shoes, you know. And I love the whole idea about, you know, it's going to stop in just a second, so I'm going to stop it. Okay, I love the whole idea about the title of the book, too, you know, that it's A Sin to Kill a Mockingbird. And, you know, they're referencing in that, you know, Tom Robinson, but actually, who's on trial for rape. But actually, they're talking about Boo Radley, and we don't know that yet, you know? And the injustices that Boo Radley has gone through because people don't really understand him, you know? But he also teaches respect, because if you go to the end of the book, and you watch, or you read the end of the book, when the door opens after the kids have been attacked, and Scout says, Boo? Like, she looks at him and she has that Hey Boo moment, you know, which there's a great documentary about Harper Lee called Hey Boo. I don't know if it's still on, there's actually a great documentary about J.D. Salinger, too, and why he chose to be a recluse. It's very interesting. It was like this, he was in love with, it just, the whole thing is so sad. It's very, very sad. When you read, or when you watch a documentary, or if you've read anything about J.D. Salinger, you know the backstory, he's the one that wrote The Catcher in the Rye. I think you really understand his sense of, like, angst and longing. Like, you really get it, you know? And I think that true literature... Oh, there's another shooting star. somebody said in my comment section last night, they said, oh, between the 11th and the 13th. So thank you, whoever that was. I'm looking for them everywhere now. But you know, I think that in a lot of literature that is read and known, and you know, I think that stays with people, resonates with people, is because those authors have used the novels as cathartic experiences, if that makes sense. And so when you see Hey Boo and you understand a little bit about her backstory, and that her dad was basically, her dad in real life, Harper Lee's dad, was like Atticus Finch. But, you know, that moment at the end, and she says, you know, something about, Boo? Like, hey, Boo. In the movie, she says, hey, Boo. It's so sweet. It's like, oh my God, I can start crying. It's like my favorite part of the whole movie. And when she leads him outside and she says, you know, she says, do you want to pet him? And she's like, you can, it's safe now, but he wouldn't let you if he was awake. And then they walk out on the front porch and they're sitting there, and oh God, and she takes him home. That scene right there to me is autumn. I mean, like, that is autumn to me, 100%. But I think my mom and I must have watched that movie 100 times, you know. But when she says, hey, Boo, and her dad says, you know, Jean Louise, I'd like you to meet, you know, Mr. Arthur Radley. And he's teaching her respect. We've lost that, you know, in our society. The woman that was my detox nurse was my neighbor and the mother of my best friend for the entirety of my growing up. I was so humiliated when I saw her because I didn't even know she worked there. I just saw her like 6 months ago. I've known this woman since I was 5 or 6 years old, okay? 40 years of my life. I've known her well. I still called her Mrs. So-and-so. I don't understand what's happened to that a little bit. You know, like, and those people that I was allowed to not call Mr. and Mrs. were like very specific. Like my dad's partner, I always called him Dr. So-and-so. But his wife, who's my mom's best friend, I called her by her first name. But that was because when I was very, very young, they said, you know, I'm like your aunt, I'm like your uncle, this is what you call me. So out of respect, I called them what they asked. But I had friends of my mom's that, I mean, up to the time of her funeral, I still called them Mr. and Mrs., you know, like, I don't know, I just don't really understand what's happened to a lot of that. It makes me very sad. I think, you know, I see, because I am on social media so much, and I don't act perfect on social media either. I'm not saying that I have, you know, but because I'm on social media so much, I do see so many younger people, like, in their tweets and stuff, and I think, like, what's happened, you know? Like, where do we think it's okay to talk to people this way? Like, where have we gotten to a point where it's okay to talk to people this way? I just, you know, I've had my fair share of issues with people in my life. But today, and I would say for quite some time, I've always left the door open for a conversation if people want to talk to me about. And I will own my part. And if you want to have a conversation about my behaviors and you don't want to own your part, I'll still own my part. It's not about equaling the score and all that kind of stuff out. It's about, let's just talk nicer to each other, you know? Life's really short. It really is. And at the end of the day, it's not about being right. It's not about, I got one up on you and aren't I smarter and all that kind of stuff, you know? It's just, people put some hurtful shit out there in the world. I have put some hurtful shit out there in the world. And I'm not proud of it. But I think that's why, you know, every night I look through my day and I try to think to myself what I've, you know, done positively and negatively. I do an inventory. And then the next day I wake up and I say, you know, like, help me to be a better version of myself today than I was yesterday. But anyway, my mom would read all those books, you know, and like, but as she got older, she didn't really read as much literature. And I think it made her some of it kind of sad. It reminded her of her youth and stuff like that. And, you know, I remember, like, I said to my mom one time, like, she always loved James Joyce's book. I think Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man or something. And she loved that book, and she loved Ulysses, which, you know, is like all stream of consciousness. And I can remember my mom when I was younger talking about, oh, it's so, you know, like a lot of people don't understand it. It's one of my favorite books and whatever. And I remember saying something to her, she was old, like in her 50s, about it. And she goes, she said, I think that anybody that likes James Joyce is a phony. She's like, that's some of the most unreadable shit I've ever seen. Something like that, you know? And I was like, oh my God. I was like, but Mom, you used to love that book. She goes, did I? She goes, yeah, that was probably phony, wasn't it? She says, I hate phonies. She did too. If you read her copy of Catcher in the Rye, the word phony is like circled like every single time in the book. I think we all like try to want to, don't you think we want to be something we're not? A lot, you know? And there's always something that we're kind of like, I don't know if we're running from it, but there's just always something about ourselves that we don't like. I don't care if it's that 10 pounds that we can't lose, or our hair color, or, you know what I mean? Or where we live, or it's like, I don't know that I meet very many people that are 100% content with their life all the time, you know? Like, it's like we're always trying to be something or be someone we're not. And you know, when I look back on my life, honestly, when I look back on it, like the year before, well, not, okay, like 3 years before I got sober, to like that one, like let's say there's like a 6-month period in there where I was just like, I was who I was. I was bohemian. Was having fun. To then like the first 2 years that I got sober, like that first 2 years, like in there, that free spirit that I was, of constantly taking a look at who I was and wanting to improve and really seeing the world, you know, like very much like the book, The Razor's Edge. And, you know, and constantly wanting to be this better version of myself. Like, I kind of lost it for a while in this, like, drive to be successful in my career. Like, that kind of got lost to the wayside. Did I have a lot of great times? Sure. Did I meet a lot of great people? Absolutely. Did I have a good life? Of course I did. But I kind of lost that free spirit, you know, like, who really is my soul? And I think the last 2 years since I've been on YouTube has really allowed me to chase that and be like, okay, we got to catch him, you know, now and be that again. And it's like, and Alex helps me so much with that. This shirt is so uncomfortable. Alex helps me so much with that because he just is so that, you know, he just is. I can tell you one trip we're going to be doing next year. That's going to be Tomorrowland in Belgium, because he has not shut up about it. He was talking to his cousin about it on the phone today. But I don't know, you know, it's like, I'm trying to think of other books that my mom read as she got older. She read a lot of recovery stuff. You know, like a lot of recovery memoirs. Tanya's reading a book right now that she really likes. It's actually fictional. It's called How to Grow an Addict. She loves it. She said it's great. But my mom read a lot of recovery stuff. You know, she'd get books at the library. My Aunt Susie would tell her, like, what books to get, and she'd say something, you know. I don't know, it's interesting. Like, my dad, okay, so my dad is, like, such a weird reader, honestly. My dad is probably, well, first of all, anything to do with foreign affairs, my dad has read. He gets the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and, like, all these newspapers and reads them every morning. Like, that's my dad, okay? He watches the news every night. I think he watches the local and the national news, but probably just the national news. And he's so well read. He reads both sides of every issue, and everything on foreign affairs. I was trying to adjust the camera. Okay, so my dad is, like, incredibly well read, you know, and before going into medicine, you know, he was a political science major, law school, all that. So he's very, very interested in political affairs, foreign affairs, things like that. Okay, but on top of that, when you're there, he's always reading some book, okay? Like, there's this book that he always recommends to everybody. He actually gave it to Alex. It's called, like, The Native Tongue or something. It's about how we speak and why we choose to use certain words that we do and things like that. My dad's very interested in languages, too. He speaks several languages. And, sometimes he'll be reading about, like, the white elephant, and he'll read, like, 6 books about, like, this white elephant, you know, and is he extinct or whatever. And then he'll come over and he'll be reading, oh, there's another shooting star. Oh my God. Everywhere. Oh, my shooting stars. Then he'll be reading something about, like, I don't even know, you guys. Like, just, he reads the most obscure topics. And he's so well versed. Alex is always like, your dad is one of the most interesting people I've ever met in my entire life. And it's true. He is, like, so well versed on so many things. And he doesn't remember, like, and he doesn't forget any of it. So, like, you could be talking to him about art. My dad also sculpts. So you could talk to my dad about, like, art or whatever, and he knows what he's talking about. But he's also, like, super humble. Like, if you're sitting there with him, he's got on, like, shorts and a t-shirt and, you know, like, reading glasses. And now, it used to be Porsche Carrera sunglasses, but he still has those, too. You know, and he's just, like, sitting there, and he's like, oh, my God. I was like, you know, it's not like, well, let me tell you about this book that I was reading. It's not like that at all. He's like, hey, Pete, let me tell you about this. Like, okay, so I was reading this book the other day, and did you know about, I mean, he's always, like, so excited, like a kid, like, about, like, because he calls me Pete. He's so excited about, like, whatever he's learning, you know, as he gets older, and I'm just like, I don't know, I just think that's so fascinating. How do you retain that, you know? And he's been, I don't know, like, I kind of wonder sometimes that if you keep your mind alive, does that keep your body alive, too? Because, like I've said on here many times, this phone is driving, or this camera's driving me crazy tonight, many times that, like, you know, that my dad is, like, does not act or seem his age whatsoever. And so I'm like, yeah, I don't know, maybe that's it. I will say this, that, and maybe this is something I need to start doing again, but I feel like I'm so busy, when do I have the time? Back in the day when I worked in treatment, you know, on the way, this was before the Starbucks days, so in the way to work, I would either make a pot of coffee at home and take it in, like, one of those things, but I very rarely did that, I think. I would go through, like, I would go to the gas station, and I would get, excuse me, I would get a coffee at the gas station, like a big 30, you know, 20 ounce, 24 ounce ones. I don't know what that was that I was just doing. Sorry, excuse me for that. But I would get, you know, coffee and take it into work, and I would get a newspaper and a pack of cigarettes, too. Smoked a lot in those days when I was working in treatment. We'd go out, we had this gazebo out in front, oh my God, and we would sit out there and just, like, smoke like fiends. And then they decided, well, first, okay, let me tell you about this. Has anybody else worked at a place like this? Okay. I mean, I totally understand it, because we were on a hospital ground, like, we were on a hospital campus. So it wasn't just like we were this isolated treatment center. It was like us, and then it was like a major hospital, it was like a mental health hospital, and then it was like doctor's offices around us, and then it was also, there was a heart hospital on the campus. It's a huge medical campus. And then we were there. So when I started there, we could actually smoke with the patients, okay? Then it went to, we could smoke with the patients, this is when I was a tech, because I didn't take them off campus when I wasn't a tech. Like 2 of us would take, like, you know, 5 or 10 of them to, like, a meeting or something. And so, like, we could smoke off campus with them when they were, like, getting sponsors and stuff after the meeting. Then it went to, you couldn't smoke with the patients anymore. And it was, you could smoke with the patients on the patios at the hospital. I think that's what it was, like in the designated smoking areas. But then it was that you couldn't even do that. Then you had to smoke, then they put this gazebo, okay, right out in front of the treatment facility, right in front of the detox center where the detox patients were walking in to be admitted. There was this, I mean to tell you, like a gazebo, like a white gazebo, no lie, okay? Like, I don't know why they thought this looked appropriate out there. But anyway, and we would sit in there in the dead of winter in coats, and have you ever smoked a cigarette out in the dead of winter and gone inside? You smell like an absolute ashtray, right? So, then we, This was the best. I mean, you were talking about some trash, okay? By that point, they had knocked the smokers. Oh, they were also offering free smoking cessation classes. But there was and free smoking aids, like, you know, Shantix and, what do you call it? Like the gum, the nicotine gum, and all that kind of stuff. So, we've now gone from about half the hospital smoking to about 6 of us smoking at this point. But we're diehard, so we're not giving it up, right? And then it went down to, are you ready for this, where they moved us then? The loading docks. We had to go out on the loading docks and smoke cigarettes, okay? And we had to like kind of hide behind this thing so nobody driving by could see us. We were literally the treatment trash at that point. So then, they changed that rule yet again. And then we had to drive off campus at least 2 miles away. So this co-counselor of mine back in the day, oh my God, she and I, so we would go down and we would see all the families for visitation on Thursday nights. And then like we had like a half an hour coming back before we had to run group together. And so we would like literally be like, I love her so much. She's a farmer now. Look at what became of us. We were saving the world as counselors, and now I'm a YouTuber and she's the farmer. What happened? Anyway, we'd be like real nonchalant coming out of the cafeteria, and then we would like hit that corner. We'd be like booking for us, go back to the unit to get our cigarettes and our keys, and we would be in the car. And I mean to tell you, we took 3 loops around. We'd be like, we were smoking like 3 cigarettes back to back. Because we hadn't been out to smoke a cigarette like all day. Oh my God. We had so much fun. I forgot all about that stupid loading dock. So embarrassing. And they announced it. Okay, so we would have like these big hospital meetings, right? Where like all 100+ employees had to be there. To be like, they always did it on like shit times too, like a Friday at 4 o'clock or something. So everybody had to be there. And of course, everybody in the whole hospital by this point knows what 6 or 7 people are the smokers, right? So, like every time they would change it, it's not like they would put out an email or something. No, they would announce it in this meeting. So they'd say, at the very end, they'd say, oh, and one more announcement. To those of you that continue to choose to use tobacco, we're now going to ask that you stand on the loading dock. I mean, and everybody would look at us, you know. We're going to shame you into quitting smoking, but it didn't work. We kept smoking right up to the very bitter end. God, that was so funny. I had this Zippo back in the day that my sponsor had given me. It had the Serenity Prayer on it. And my grandma, my cousin had given me a Zippo one time too, because my grandma back in the day, she used a Zippo. And Caroline would always say that a Zippo reminded her of grandma. And so, but I have this one that my sponsor gave me. And man, I'm telling you, my friend and I, after family group in the dead of winter, like February, we would go and get into the car, and then we would like go drive around, and we would like sit in the Burger King parking lot sometimes, because it was literally like right down the street. We go through, like, this is after family group. I'm talking about like a family group that really put us through it. You know what I mean? Like some shit came out. And we would go through the drive-thru, and we would get like, you know, each of us get fountain Cokes, and we would just sit there, and I can still smell that Zippo lighter, and just like that, you know, that sound that a Zippo makes. And we would just sit back, and we were like, because then we could, I mean, we were salaried, so it didn't matter how late we were staying. So if we wanted to take a break for a half an hour, we could, because we just go back and, you know, chart group notes and stuff then, and then leave as soon as we were done. So if we were there until 10:30, 11, it didn't matter at that point. So we just sit there, and sometimes in absolute silence, and just watch the snow fall, you know. Working in a treatment facility was fun. You never knew what was going to happen from day to day. It was so different from day to day. It was very sad too. You know, I went to so many funerals. You there's a lot of treatment programs that quote statistics, or they put statistics out and they'll say like our success rate is 90% or our success rate is 80%. I remember my supervisor, we never had any statistics like that. I don't know if they do now, but she used to always say when people would ask us that at conferences and stuff, because we would go speak at conferences, like she would go and then take like 2 of us, and she would say, I think it depends on how you measure success, you know? Maybe this person hasn't, you know, absolutely stopped using, and maybe this person isn't in a 12-step program, but maybe they're not using all of the substances they were using before, and, you know, maybe they're back, you know, going to college, or they have repaired family relationships, or they're back with, you know, their spouse, or they got another job, you know, or they got their kids, you know, home in safe environments. So it depends on how you measure success. And I always thought that was real interesting, you know, because there was this guise, G-U-I-S-E, behind the whole like stigma of a treatment facility that true success meant working a 12-step program, staying clean and sober for life, having a sponsor, working steps, sponsoring other people, having a job, a career, graduating from college, having great relationships with everybody in your life, whatever. And I do think that that is the ultimate goal of what we would want to see from somebody, right? Like, I mean, I don't have perfect relationships with people by any means, and I don't work any kind of perfect program, but I go to meetings, I'm engaged in a 12-step program, I have a sponsor, I sponsor, things like that, you know? So, and my friends are all like that. And so I think people in 12-step programs very much role model that, but I think that, what time is that? Oh, I think very much, you know, a lot of the patients that would come through, and I remember my supervisor would remind us of this. She would say, remember, not everybody that comes through this door is chemically dependent. A lot of them are substance abusers, meaning that they abused a substance during a period of their time, or period of their life. But maybe there's somebody that down the road, you know, who knows? It's their decision to make. Could pick up a beer and be successful drinking. And, you know, I've since run into a lot of patients that we had back in treatment. I'm like, how are you doing? They're like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed to see you. And they'll be like at some nice restaurant with their wife, you know? And they're like, you know, I drink, like I have a glass of wine from time to time, but I don't drink like I ever did, you know, back then when I was 21 or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know, I mean, so they're successful, but they have jobs, they have kids, they're responsible adults, you know? And it's not like, but do I have past patients that have been in and out of prison left and right since the day they left 20 years ago? Absolutely. And still are going to prison for the same things? Absolutely. Do I have past patients that are dead from overdoses and complications related to drugs and alcohol? Yeah, it breaks my heart. Because you never know who it's going to be, you know? Never. One of the hardest things I ever dealt with, one of the hardest cases, was I had this girl, and this was like when I very first, like this was a long time ago, and she was like 19, and she was an only child, and she was totally like her parents were like obsessed in love with her. Like they would just fawn over her like constantly. I mean, she was such a sweet girl. And she was beautiful, you know, and she was just very innocent, and she was engaged, and she was living with her fiance, and I remember her fiance and her parents would come to family group, and they just all three, I think he was like, they were small town, and I think dad and the fiance worked in like a factory together or something. They just were really nice people, you know. And she flew through the program with flying colors, you know. I mean, and I'm not saying she said the things that you're supposed to say. I'm saying she went deep, like, and talked about stuff. And she was there for a while, you know. They came to every family group. She seemed great when she left. Absolutely. And I got a call, like, 2 weeks after she got out, that they had found her. She had overdosed. And I remember, like, her parents came in because because the doctor had to write an excuse for her, like, dad not to go back to work because he just couldn't. Like, he just absolutely couldn't. These were parents also, I think, that were a little bit older, and they really struggled, like, getting pregnant or something like that, I think, if I remember correctly. And I just remember looking at their face, and I thought, like, how do you go on from this, you know? And they kept in contact with me for quite some time, you know, and I think what happened was she was doing really well when she first got out. She really was, and then, like, an old friend called, and it was just impulse, and she didn't think about it, and she thought, okay, just one time, and I was just thinking about when I was a little kid, I had this fire truck that you could put water in and actually squirt. It was like metal even, and it squirted like real water out of it. But anyway, I think, like, if I remember the story correctly, it was like somebody had called her while, like, her fiance was at work, because she, like, just stayed at home. She didn't work. God, I can see her in my head. It's so weird. I haven't really even thought about this in a long time. And she, it was, like, impulsive. Like, the person came over and she's like, yeah, whatever. I don't even remember what she overdosed on, to be honest. And her fiance came home, and I remember this, something like, he was like, he couldn't open the door because she was, like, passed out, like, behind the door or something. And I wish that that was, like, the only story that I had, you know? But I have so many stories like that, you know? And I'm not going to tell them, but then you know, the other thing is I have so many success stories too. I have so many success stories. I have so many people that are married. One of them I know watches all my vlogs, so hey, how are you doing? That are married and working and successful and, you know, happy, and there's a lot of them out there that I see in 12-step meetings, you know, and no, maybe they don't have 20 years, or 10 years, but they'll have, you know, 3 years. And it took them a couple times to come back in, or, excuse me, go to other treatment programs. And I see people come back in now that I had, you know, as patients 15 years ago. There's a lot of success stories out there. I watched today this video back that is, so I'm on my Storytellers channel. It's coming October 1st. My video will be the first video that I post, and then after that it will be all other people's videos. I've decided that I'm not going to read stories. I just think it needs to be other people's videos. I may do a video like every 6 months if I moved. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm getting a little worried that this thing is not gonna fall through. I'm getting, like, people are saying they want to do videos and there's not a lot of follow-up with it. So, you know, like, they're like, oh, like, I'm real interested, and then I don't hear back. I've gotten a couple videos, and the videos that I have are fantastic. I got so excited because I got the video back from the guy that wrote the book about Oxnard, and it is so good. The video is so good. And it's like 9 minutes long. It's, like, great. It's, like, exactly what I was looking for. But I want anybody that's interested in doing it to reach out to me, or I can tell you what I'm going to start doing is, I'm going to start reaching out to people, other YouTubers that I'm friends with, and asking them to make videos, because I know all of their personal stories. So I'm going to be like, can you make a story about this? Plus, I think it would be kind of interesting for people to see a different side. Like, I would really like for people to see, like, a different human side of Rich Lux. I think that would be real interesting. I don't know if he would be down to do that. You know, and there are other YouTubers out there. Obviously, like, the big YouTubers like Trisha Paytas and people, they're not going to do a video for me on a channel that has 1,600 subscribers. They're just not. But, you know, I'm also going to reach out to some of my family. I'm really thinking about having... every time I reach for this camera, it does that. I'm also thinking about maybe asking Alex's mom or grandma to do a video. Let's see. I don't know. I have a couple friends. My publisher is thinking about doing she is going to do a video, but she presented a video to me, and I said, I think I'd like you to do this video, and she hasn't responded to me. So that's like 4 videos that I have. So that'll take me through like the first 3 weeks of October. But then after that, like, I don't have a whole lot of other videos. Elle Leary had said that she wanted to do a video. Elle. So I would really like her to do a video. I have a couple people that I'm gonna reach out to and see that are YouTubers that I love. But you know what I mean? It's not like it's this huge channel right now, so who knows? It might not do, you know? I don't know, I just don't want it to tank. And if it gets down to the fact that I'm posting a video a month, oh well, I'm posting a video a month, but I want to tell stories over there. At some point it might pick up, who knows, you know? So, well listen you guys, I am going to get off here. I'm going to make this a little bit shorter of a vlog tonight. I actually have no idea how long I've been talking. What time is it right now? What time did I say I started at? 12:29? Oh, it's been almost an hour, but... Okay, I'm going to stop this and get off here now because I'm going to listen to Harry Potter. Anyway, I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.